Hello and welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where Barca are indeed about to return from the international break, but unfortunately that break has done some serious damage to our squad. Today we're going to be talking a lot about injuries and in particular the Lamine Yamal situation. Hansi Flick today was absolutely furious. We're going to be talking about what we can expect from the team, what sort of changes now that we're going to see, and how we can get these very, very important 3 points. It is all on the way, so let's do it. Now, today's match preview is coming to you courtesy of the fantastic OneFootball app, and believe me when I say, you will need the OneFootball app. You will need their updates here, their constant breaking news stories to keep you updated properly on all the different injury news that's coming in right now at Barca. Even though we're only just starting the season, it is piling up. So please do make sure that you are staying updated right there on OneFootball, who will tailor your feed to give you the news that you want to know. Or maybe it won't be news that you necessarily want to know, but you have to know here as a Barcelona fan. So please, guys, do follow the link in the description down below. That's going to take you to download the app for free. In the process as well, you will be helping support the channel and you will be staying updated, whether you like it or not. So go ahead now and get that done. But let's move on here to exactly what we can expect on Sunday night, when, don't forget, live from Stadi Johan Cruyff, we will be taking on Valencia on Sunday. And already, of course, we've had all of that drama, all of the constant situation there about the stadium. We're already not in ideal circumstances here. This wasn't necessarily the home game that we wanted to play in front of just 6,000 fans on the weekend, and we're up against a team here in Valencia who can of course be tricky. Last season they only had a mid-table finish. We did beat them 3 out of 3 times last season, but they can be an awkward team. You know, when they do turn up, they always try and raise their level a bit as well against Barca, and especially in these situations and with the injury problems that we have, we will need to get the job done. You know, we will need to be on it on Sunday to get the 3 points, because as we're going to talk about, there's a lot of things stacking up against us. Because we did, of course, enter the international break on a bit of a downer, of course. We did drop 2 vital points there up against Rayo Vallecano, and in all honesty, it could have been even more. You know, we very easily could have lost that game against Rayo if it wasn't for the outstanding performance from Joan Garcia. And of course, after the game, I think it's important to remember here, Hansi Flick was furious with his team, and he spoke very openly about egos in this Barcelona team, about the fact that we're not quite working as that same unit that we were last season, and that when the break is over and when the transfer window is over, we've got to get back to that blueprint. And the big question now will be, are we going to see a different kind of Barca? Are we going to see more of the team that we did last season in terms of that energy that we brought to every game, in terms of that unity? Every player worked for each other. It was about the team. It wasn't about individual glory. So I think it's going to be really important to understand what the team are looking like, you know, how they're looking. Are there any changes? Are we going to see a response? That's what I'd like to see here from the players. You've been called out by the coach, and it wasn't only Flick, don't forget. In the international break as well, Pedri spoke openly about Flick's words. He almost acknowledged that, yeah, there is a bit of a problem here. There is a bit of a change on what we had last season. The players recognise it too, and it's up to them now to come into this game, to put what happened before behind us, and let's start as we mean to go on, even despite these injury problems. However, before we all get a bit too downbeat about these injuries, can I bring you some amazing news? Can we talk here about something that is so special? Marc Bernal, he is back. He is right here again with the group. He can be involved in the squad list this weekend, and that comes 382 days after his ACL injury. What a moment for him to officially now receive the medical green light. And we should mention here with Bernal, he has been desperate to return. He's been desperate to get back in this team. Ever since the end of pre-season, he's basically been in Flick's ear saying, look, can I play? Am I ready to play now? Can I come back in? And Flick apparently told Bernal, look, I want you here at this club. I want you playing in this team for the next 15 years. I'm not just thinking about only one game. So it's very much a case here of having to pace ourselves with Bernal's return, needing him to have that bit of patience. It has been a long road back. He's had to work really, really hard. He's been so eager to come back in, but Flick has managed that well. He hasn't forced things. He hasn't cut any corners, but now is the moment when Bernal is available. And to be honest, given some of the absence that we have, especially in midfield, Bernal's return, it's happening at a very important time. There is also more good news in the shape here of Rooney Bardghji, of course, one of our summer signings, one of our very few summer signings that we've made, and he is now available to make his official Barca debut competitively here, and I'm very excited. I'm really excited to see what he's got, to see him get that opportunity. We know here that he's had to be very, very patient over the past few weeks. There's been lots of issues there with registration, not even knowing if he was going to stay and continue here as a Barca player this season, and he has been in action as well over the course of the international break for Sweden's under-21 team. He scored a goal and provided an assist there, and he's keeping himself sharp. He hasn't played, of course, since pre-season, so it was good to have those minutes under his belt in the international break, and I think especially with the injuries here that we're going to talk about now, Rooney Bardghji, he might get minutes. He is going to be involved, I believe, within the squad in this game, and again, there's excitement from all of us fans, and there's real excitement too from somebody who has big belief in him, and that is Hansi Flick. However, guys, it is safe to say that the international break, as it so often happens with Barca, it has not been kind to us. The really frustrating thing, we've got an international break here after 3 games of the season. I mean, it's ridiculous even to start with here that we're sending players all around the world. We just came back. The season has just gotten underway. It is ridiculous here. There's a break so soon. There's also one in October, same sort of time, middle of the month. There's also one in November. I mean, such a disjointed way. It really, really is to start the brand new season. But okay, for one, we have no Alejandro Balde. Now, he wasn't even involved in the international break, but he still managed to suffer a hamstring injury in training there at the club, and that is going to be a big blow for us at left back. He's going to be out certainly of this game, also against Newcastle most likely, maybe even more games after that, so Balde is going to be a big, big miss there in our defence that certainly needs to find some form. Then you've got Gavi, who of course is still suffering with this knee pain. Yesterday it was interesting to see him meet, along with his father and his agent, with the club's medical staff there. There was a real meeting to discuss basically how we move forward here. How is the knee? How is the discomfort? Is there any improvement there? And the plan remains right now to continue with that conservative treatment, just basically hoping that the pain does subside, that he can be treated without having to go down the route there of that surgery, the option there of that keyhole surgery, but he will not, of course, be involved this weekend, and he is unlikely to be there against Newcastle either, as Gavi is still waiting to feel 100% in that knee. And then there is Frenkie de Jong, who of course hasn't been able to train all week long with the rest of the group. He's been doing lots of individual training after, of course, he suffered some discomfort whilst away with the Dutch national team. That was really disappointing and a bit worrying ahead of this weekend. Now, it was interesting today, though, that Frenkie did actually return to training with the rest of the group, so he appears to be very much on the mend now, but Flick says he will not be involved against Valencia tomorrow. He feels as though it's come too soon for him. He only returned to full training today, so he's not going to be involved on Sunday, and the plan from the club is they want him fully fit, they want him ready to face Newcastle in the Champions League next week. That, of course, is a big game coming up on Thursday, and I think it's going to be interesting in general, guys, I've got to say, what is going to happen in this game ahead of the Champions League, because a lot of the time last season, remember, ahead of these league phase matches, Hansi Flick, he did often rotate. He did always prioritise, really, the Champions League matches. That was always given maximum focus from the team and from the coaching staff. So it's going to be interesting to see, are there any rotational moves? Are we going to sort of rest players, especially following the international break, with more emphasis on that game against Newcastle? But of course, don't forget right here, this is a big game. We've got to beat Valencia here. Early on in the season, we can't afford to drop any more points at all. This is still a big one for us, which is exactly what makes the news about Lamine Yamal not only more disappointing, not only more hurtful, but I would also say very much frustrating, given what we've heard today and what we've learned, really, from Hansi Flick. Now, Yamal, the bottom line is, he is out of the game against Valencia. He will not be involved on Sunday. He was unable to train today with the group. And again, it's because of the back pain. It's because he has had discomfort in his back, and this is not the first time that we've heard about this problem. And there are even rumours right now that Yamal, he's a doubt as it stands to play Newcastle on Thursday. But of course, we're going to reevaluate that. The closer we get to that game, we're going to understand if Yamal can be involved. But do not forget, guys, that in the international break, apparently when he arrived with the Spanish camp, there was concerns about his back. He was receiving already a bit of discomfort in that area. Now, he played their first match against Bulgaria. He again suffered back pain off the back of that there. He then missed training because of that pain, because of that discomfort. And I think everybody thought, well, if you've got a player here early in the season, he's clearly not right, he's clearly not 100%, why would you then go and play him in the second game? You saw it with the Dutch national team and Frenkie de Jong. You send the player home. If there's any concerns, any doubts, it's better here to take care of the players. But no, Spain being Spain and De La Fuente being De La Fuente, what did he do? Of course he played him. He played him. He started him in the next match. He played 75 minutes. And today, from Hansi Flick, we learn they had Yamal take painkillers. They made him play in just not even important international games. Spain were going to win these anyway. Spain are obviously going to be at the World Cup. They put Yamal through painkillers so that he could play in these matches because he already had, and they knew he had discomfort in his back. And rightly so today, by the way. Flick was fuming. And I'm so glad that he's spoken out about this here. He said that they knew Yamal had issues. They knew he had pain. He played 79 and he played 73 minutes. He didn't train in between those matches because of the pain. Even when they were winning, they made him play. This is not taking care of the players. I am very disappointed. I am very sad about this. And like I say, good on Flick. This needs to be highlighted. For far too long, in my opinion, Barca have been too timid with the national team. We have seen this idiot De La Fuente do this a number of times. They do not protect our players in the slightest. Let's not forget here again who pays the wages, who is ultimately responsible here for making these players into what they are and paying them for it. That is the clubs. That is Barca. We are the priority here. And Barca have not addressed this problem. That is why I'm so glad today that Flick has come out. He's spoken his mind. He's told us all what he's thinking. He's told us all what has happened. And that is a good thing. This is not the right way that you treat young players. And I've said as well, of course, Barca, they need to do more too. We need to do more in terms of rotation, in terms there of taking care of players and not overusing them and not overworking them. We also do have a responsibility. But to hear today that you played Yamal by taking painkillers, to get him through those games with the pain that he's had, and now, he's out for this game. He might be out for the next game. We don't know when he's going to come back at this point. And from Barca's point of view, that is scandalous. That is really disappointing, and it does have the potential here to be really damaging for us. So indeed, guys, with all of that said then, what are we going to see against Valencia? What kind of lineup are we going to be able to see now? Who is going to make it out there to be able to play? Well, it's going to be Joan Garcia. I hope we don't need him as much as we did against Rayo Vallecano. He was incredible in that game, but we don't want to force him into action with that kind of regularity. I think Koundé, is he probably going to come in at right back? We've seen a bit of experimentation there, especially with Eric Garcia as well, but I think what we need to do now is start with a solid, consistent backline. We need that defensive line to have a bit of consistency and structure. That is why I would play Kubasi in his natural right centre-back role. I would partner him with Andreas Christensen, who I thought played really well for his country during the international break. At left-back, then, it's probably going to have to be Gerard Martin. And I think they're Koundé, Kubasi, Christensen, Gerard Martin. Let's hope they can start to string together some good displays here. We will need them against Valencia, and we will need them coming up against Newcastle. In midfield then, I think Marc Casado, he again is going to get the nod to come in to replace Frenkie de Jong. It's going to be a big game for him. He's got to really step up now and provide performances to add real quality to this team alongside Pedri, who of course will be fantastic. But the big question then, how do you replace Yamal? I mean, you can't replace Yamal. You cannot replace that kind of influence that he has in the final third, the way that he takes players away from the rest of the team. He is so good there from a creative point of view. Now, for me, it would be interesting, I think, to actually shift Rafinha over to that right-hand side. We know that he can play very, very well there. He's excellent, actually, on both flanks. So I think Rafinha can move over to the right. And what you could then have is Marcus Rashford over on the left-hand side. We've seen that, of course, against Levante when he started in that game, but that was when Rafinha was playing a more central role. I'm talking here about bringing Rashford in on one side and getting Rafinha there over on the other, because in between the two of them, now all the transfer speculation is behind us. I would start with Fermin Lopez. I think he has shown so far a bit of better form than Dani Olmo. He still needs to work hard to get back in this team. So I would start there, Fermin, in between Rafinha and Marcus Rashford. And then in the number 9 role, I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised in this game to see Robert Lewandowski in the starting lineup. We know that Ferran is playing well. He's actually started the season so well in terms of his goal scoring. I wouldn't be surprised either if Ferran continued. I'd have absolutely no problem with that at all. But I could just see in this game Lewandowski being reinstated here back into the lineup, that we start to see maybe a little bit more of him. But let's wait and see, guys. I think without Yamal, it's going to be a challenge. The team without him, of course, is not the same. He is such an important player. But we do still have quality, and I would like to see players like Rooney Bardghji come off the bench. Marc Bernal can still have a real impact on this game as well. Cannot wait to see him return. We still have depth. We still have players who can be the difference, and we'll need them because we have to beat Valencia. So in terms of my score prediction right here today, guys, I am going to be going with a slender Barca victory. I think it is going to be a close one. I think it is going to be a tight game, maybe a little bit cagey at times. I'm going to go here with Barca 2, Valencia 1. That will be there, the same scoreline, don't forget, as when we met them early on last season, but that match right there was at Mestalla. And interestingly, Marc Bernal did actually start in that game and played very well indeed. So let's hope here that we see his return this Sunday and that Barca can get all 3 points. Please do let me know your predictions down below. What is your score prediction? Who can make the difference here? Who can step up in the absence of Lamine Yamal? And do let me know as well all of your thoughts on that whole Yamal injury situation. Do you believe that Spain have acted wrongly? Do you believe that De La Fuente here needs to come under the microscope? I'll be waiting to hear all of your thoughts, and don't forget as well to stay updated with the OneFootball app that you can download for free using the link in the description. I will catch you guys after the game. I hope that we all enjoy it. But until next time, as always, Veshka, El Barca.